Welcome to the Zoom call. This is Vincent. Really exciting. We are going to be speaking with Laura Vukson and Mike Stevens, involved in the ArtsCan Circle up in Canada. And welcome, you two.
Welcome. Hello.
Hello.
Being a harmonica player myself, honestly, I had not heard of you. And my goodness, I mean, for those that have heard you play, it's rather astonishing. You have quite the history playing harmonica, and I thought it would be nice to start out by talking about how in 2002 you initially started the ArtsCan Circle organization, and then we'll get into speaking with Laura about what's happening.
Sure. Yeah. Well, my life took a pretty big detour. I mean, I'm really lucky to get to play the harmonica for a living. I mean, it took a trip to be able to figure that out. And I cracked the code early on, and it was at the point where, I was flying to Japan for a day to play a concert and back home again, and I was on the Grand Ole Opry, and just kind of the pinnacle. It was like achieving all your dreams that you couldn't even dream yet. Sort of, I was lucky enough to do that on the harmonica, which was incredible. And my family traveled with me, but I was booked to go on a tour to play for Canadian peacekeepers, and we were headed to the northern tip of Ellesmere Island, Alert, and then on to Bosnia. So we stopped off with fuel in Goose Bay, Labrador. And I'll really condense the story here, but basically, when it was time to do a concert in Labrador, I'd heard about a community called Sheshashi, an Innu community that was just down the road from Goose Bay. And I knew they were struggling with, some high suicide rates and gas sniffing issues, but it hadn't really hit the media's headlights yet in a big way. So I dedicated a song to that community and got a pretty icy response from the audience. And afterwards, I went back to the record table, and a guy said, "If you want to come out to the community, I'll drive you out there." So I got in the truck the next morning, went out to the community, and I had no idea that these things were happening in our own country. Just things that I saw just weren't right. We left and rounded a corner, and there, right by a fire, were 8 kids with bags of gasoline to their faces. And I got out and played music for them, and they actually included me. They didn't tell me to screw off, and they didn't. They started to ask me questions about my family. These are kids with bags of gas to their faces. And so it showed that music seemed to have some kind of a connection. Some of that got filmed. That footage ended up going all around the world. I continued on tour, and there were all kinds of media outlets getting a hold of my wife back home, wanting to talk about gas sniffing. And that's when I sort of parked my career a little bit and tried to figure out how to connect ordinary Canadians with these issues and these communities. And then I'd go out on my own, loaded up with harmonicas, and fly in communities and go out in the bush at night, playing, looking for kids who were sniffing gas, and hand them harmonicas. And I think now we probably handed out close to 40,000 harmonicas, and lots of musical instrument lending libraries and recording studios, and teams of people that rotate through communities on a regular basis. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Big left turn, but I'm grateful for it.
And I think with your early successes in music, not only you understood the power of how music can affect your life, being able to see now through ArtsCan how it affects other people's lives.
Yeah, it's a powerful thing. I mean, and it's definitely a two-way thing. I mean, it sounds cliche, but basically what's happening is you're just listening and having a dialogue. And I'm always really thankful when these kids in these communities get to know us well enough that they start to open up, and we can really talk. So it's never going in to fix anything or any of that stuff. It's just giving these kids in these communities the tools that they deserve to be able to have a louder voice,
That's really fantastic. And it's great that now, Laura, you're relatively new in your executive director position, and you have Indigenous roots.
I do. I'm from the Quicho community up in the Northwest Territories. It's a community called the Mexico. My mother was born there, and I grew up in northern Ontario till I was 8, and so I spent a bit of time up north. With the communities are very beautiful, very strong. I'm a part of a community. What ArtsCan Circle does is that we really want to hear what the community needs, and I get phone calls from the communities that we go and do workshops in, and I may think that they need something, but they would be like, "Laura, we need 2 keyboards." We have a midwife who's a music teacher can use them 2 keyboards. So it's really crucial to listen and not just really what it. So with what we're doing with ArtsCan Circle, we just had 5 amazing musicians, 3 of them Indigenous, and one is Irish. He's hilarious. They went up to Pekanjikum on Sunday, and they're there for a week-long workshop. And I could schedule everything about how something needs, like the schedule for the week. But I know when they go into the community and they work with the community, I've gone many times to Pekanjikum, they go to the principal and the teachers and the schools and what would you like done? And then they work together with the workshop. So it's always collaborating with the community first.
Yeah, that's really fantastic. And it was cool. There was a post, and we want to mention you have Facebook, social media, your website as well. It would be nice to give that out to folks right now, actually.
So our Facebook is ArtsCan Circle. Well, you can definitely follow us. We're doing updates weekly on the trips and what we're doing, and we're creating a new website, and it's going to launch next month. And we have amazing Indigenous woman that's April White that will be creating a new logo for us. And like, there's a lot of exciting things happening this fall. Yeah.
That's really cool. I saw a fun post on Facebook. I saw a picture of some ukuleles.
Yes, it's amazing how I'm finding how so many people want to get involved, we just don't know how. So it's amazing when someone calls in and says, I have this, how can I help? And then we figure it out and navigate it. And we had this wonderful donation come in with ukuleles, Ohana, and a man by the name of Bob Arden helped out, and we had them shipped to Toronto, and then we had this amazing doctor who works with Sioux Lookout take them in a moving truck to Sioux Lookout, and then Bearskins offered to take them the rest of the way to Pekanjikum. So it's like all these little spots. It's amazing having all kinds of people come together and help out.
Mm-hmm. I love the fact that throughout the time, so many harmonicas have been distributed because they're very portable, and you can fit a lot. Like it's just a great thing that you guys are doing, and you know, it's very profound. I mean, it's really cool just seeing how you're bringing the arts, and not just the harmonicas, but the other instruments, and also the arts in general. It sounds like are being infused, and there's collaborations happening up there. What do you say?
Most definitely. One of the communities, they're asking for a recording artist to come in because they have the kids that wrote the lyrics and they want to put something together. So it's exciting to hear that when it's at that stage that the kids want to do recording. What do you say, Mike?
No, I think it's great. I mean, from the outside, it looks like it's all about music and bringing in instruments and teaching people how to play. But the real power in the message here, as Laura says, it's about listening, but it's also about building relationships. I mean, in our country in particular, from my opinion, Indigenous people and Indigenous communities have not been listened to. they don't have the same voice everyone else has. And there's been a lot of injustice. I mean, when basic things like clean drinking water or affordable healthy food or an education that fits culturally where you live, like there are things that are so unequal. And the only way people can learn about this stuff and begin to understand them is by getting to know each other and having relationships. And that means going and hanging out and making mistakes and becoming friends and over a long period of time. And that's kind of how ArtsCan Circle grew. Where it talks about, an airline that is going to donate their time to fly ukuleles up, a doctor that's bringing them here, someone else donated ukuleles. That's all community building, and it's all real human stuff. It's not signing a check and sending it off and, oh, those poor people. It's the opposite of that. When you're in one of these communities, your life is enriched. If you just listen, you'll learn so much. These are unbelievably rich people culturally, and there's so many things to learn, but the levels of humility are off the scale. And the only way you can begin to understand that is by just listening and not trying to fill up every space,
It's really fantastic. So where do you see things going in the next year with ArtsCan?
There are many communities in Northern Ontario that we revisit twice a year. And I had a couple of communities call and ask, how can we have you guys come and teach the music teachers or week-long workshops? How do we sign up? So that's really exciting to have that that connection. What we've been doing this fall is having a team of 4 musicians and artists go up to each community, and a musician or an artist in the community working together and doing the workshops. And I'm really excited to see next year it expanding a bit and with more communities and continuing relationships with the communities that we're at. I think I've only been on for 5 months, but it's amazing to have like that phone call at 8 o'clock at night just to chat from my community and ask what's going on and that. So.
It's really cool. I mean, from the very beginning, this initiative should be guided by Indigenous voices. It really should. I mean, I'm learning every day how to make things work in a better way. And we've always wanted to move towards having more Indigenous involvement, particularly on trips. There's nothing more powerful than when you're in a community and you're with, say, an Indigenous musician. I can do everything that I do and the kids will love it. As soon as that Indigenous musician starts to talk, kids just go right quiet and they just listen like nobody's business. It's incredible, the power of that. So we've always wanted to have Indigenous musicians go on every trip and have more Indigenous involvement in the boardroom, and it's the right way to do this. We'll all learn so much that way. So we're moving towards that direction in the new year, and I think there's always room. There's always more communities that we want to hit. Funding is an issue for us. When we take on a community, we try and take it on for life. A lot of things that happened in the past in these places were, let's say there was some problem in a community and the media shines their lights on it and there's a big public outcry. Well, then the government would say, okay, we have to react. And their way of reacting sometimes would be to not even go into a community, not even visit it, but rather have these social scientists that dream up a program and they get all of this money and they say, okay, we'll do this, it'll fix it. And then they go into the community, and when the money runs out, they're gone. And hasn't fixed anything because they didn't build relationships, they didn't listen to the communities. So those are promises that have been broken time and time and time and time again. That along with residential schools and relocation, all these things have built up this long history of why should anybody in a community ever trust me? I mean, I wouldn't. So basically, what you have to do is you go back and 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 you continue to go back. So with that paradigm, it makes it really hard to add new communities because it's a big commitment financially. When we take one on, we don't want to say, well, we don't have funding to go there next year. You know, we can't even go to the communities that we've been visiting. So it's, you know, it's really cool and it's the right way to do it, but it creates these funding issues that we're always really wondering how we're gonna be able to pull it off, but in some crazy way we always have, and it's been 18 years and it's worked where a lot of the government programs haven't. So it's really neat. It's like high wire act, like jazz. Like Laura said, when you're in a community, don't go in with a plan, just go in with your ears wide open, you know.
Mike and Laura, best to the upcoming year, and I really urge people to follow you through your upcoming website and through social media, and certainly in any way possible being a part of the donation process, instrument giving, and just spreading the word about the wonderful community building that you're doing up in these terrific communities up there. So thank you both so much.
Yeah, thank you.